जैसे कि ब्रेक पे जाने से पहले और आज शो की इब्तिदा में भी मैंने बताया था आप लोगों से कि आज हमारे साथ एक बहुत ही ख़ास मेहमान होंगे बात करने के लिए। मैं इनका तारुफ करा देता हूं आप लोगों से। आप हैं सेबेस्टियन फ्रांसिस। आप फ्रेंच जर्नलिस्ट हैं और पिछले 13 सालों से आप हिंदुस्तान में रह रहे थे, दिल्ली में। आप साउथ एशिया कॉरेस्पॉन्डेंट थे। बहुत सारे फ्रेंच और बेल्जियन न्यूज़ ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के लिए आप काम कर रहे थे, जिनमें रेडियो फ्रांस इंटरनेशनल, रेडियो फ्रांस और लिबरेशन, ये 3 चैनल्स हैं जिनके लिए आपने काम किया। लेकिन जून 17 को 13 साल हिंदुस्तान से रिपोर्ट करने के बाद आपको वापस आ जाना पड़ा फ्रांस, क्योंकि हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट ने आपका जो जर्नलिज्म का परमिट था उसको रिन्यू करने से मना कर दिया। और आलम यह है कि आपको सोशल मीडिया पर उसको टैग करना पड़ गया। आप पूरा ब्यौरा आपने दिया कि कभी आपके साथ ऐसा कुछ हुआ नहीं, और हिंदुस्तान की सरकार ने पहले भी बॉर्डर इलाकों से भी आपको रिपोर्ट करने के लिए इजाज़त दी हुई थी। आप ये भी कहते हैं कि सारे कागजात दस्तावेज़ आपके बिल्कुल पुख्ता हैं, उसमें कोई गड़बड़ नहीं है। लेकिन 7 मार्च को आपका परमिट रिफ्यूज़ हो गया और उसके बाद आप कोशिश करते रहे रिन्यू करने के लिए, लेकिन वो रिन्यूअल आया नहीं और माहौल ऐसा बन गया कि आपकी कमाई बिल्कुल बंद हो गई। तो फिर आपने और आपकी बेगम ने हिंदुस्तान छोड़ के जाना मुनासिब समझा, क्योंकि बिना इनकम के 3 महीने का टाइम निकल गया था और ये किसी भी वर्किंग इंसान के लिए बड़ा मुश्किल होता है। तो सेबास्टियन फ्रांसिस, आप जुड़ चुके हैं फ़ोन लाइन के ज़रिए हमारे साथ पेरिस से। I'd like to welcome Sébastien Farcis to my program. Hello, Sébastien. Welcome to the show. And thank you very much for joining us. I hope I have not massacred the pronunciation of your name.
No, you're doing good. You're doing very good.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. How are you? That's an important question to ask.
I'm doing good. It's quite an eventful week. I mean, since I came back, I left India last Monday, 17th, as you were saying. And since then, I mean, it's been a lot of developments. I mean, I've been in India for 13 years now. I have to readjust to my country here in Paris and to France.
As I'm given to understand that you also hold an OCI card. You are an overseas citizen of India.
It is the whole, it is the whole situation, actually, yes. I mean, I'm married to an Indian. I have an OCI. And therefore, the status changes a bit. I mean, like, since 2022, OCI have to actually apply for a special permit to work as journalists, which was not the case before.
Okay.
And this is a new tool that the government is using to just deny this work. And I'm now the 5th journalist under the OCI card to be refused that. We thought, as an OCI, that we were closer to India, more protected. The OCI give us usually a broader rights. Actually, it just happens to be the opposite now, since the OCI is under the MHA, the Home Affairs. It's actually a tool that the Home Affairs has now using to stop journalists from working. And so the 5, like me, the 4 other journalists who have been denied work in the last 2 years are all OCI, and like me, have very close ties to India. And the last one, a French journalist, I had to leave in February after 25 years working. Imagine.
Yeah, Vanessa Dugnac, right?
Exactly,
that was really unfortunate. So a lot of people have been saying, in fact, I just saw the Indian government statement. They have actually denied that and said that, well, we did not really turn down the request. It's just that we have not taken a decision yet.
No, actually, the reply was maybe clever, but it wasn't a denial of the ban. It was a fact that the ban is not possible to deny. I mean, it's just the MHA has given me the document saying that I cannot work since March 7th. So that's a fact. Now, what the government is saying is that I have indeed, following that ban, I've actually appealed. I didn't get a reply to the appeal. I've contested it to the higher authority, then didn't get a reply. Now, talking to the External Affairs Ministry, they told me, now you should maybe reapply, so maybe we can help you pushing your case to the MHA. Because again, you have 2 different ministries, they don't agree with each other. The MEA is more keen in us working, and the MHA is a bit more strict. So the MEA tells us and told me, you should reapply so we can push your case. And that's what the MEA is saying today. Yes, I have a reapplication pending, but that doesn't stop the fact that they have stopped me from working. And in the meantime, while this new application is under consideration, I cannot work. So that's still a fact.
Right. I'd like to quote the Ministry of External Affairs official spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal, and he says that he accepts that you have an OCI card and that under the regulations you do require approval to carry out journalistic work. But they have said that, and I quote, he has reapplied for renewal of his work permit in May 2024, and to the best of my knowledge, his case is under consideration. He has the right to make a decision insofar as his travel out of the country is concerned. Is that concerning to you?
No, it's just, okay. Honestly, it's a face saver to me. It's just, yes, they are reconsidering or not considering that they have received a new application. But what is the hope that we have when this same application has been denied in March? Yes, they asked me to reapply in May, but honestly, I'm the fifth one to be denied. I've been denied in March. I don't know exactly if I have any chance to have a positive outcome and them turning back their decision. So, that's a concern. The concern is that, per se, they're actually not answering on the reason, because nobody has told me why I have been denied such a right to work as a journalist. I've been working for 13 years. So far, I've respected all the rules, and I have no problem and got permits to go to border areas, to go to Kashmir, and then suddenly, I've been denied with no explanation, which I find very harsh to, as an OCI, as someone which is close to the country, to be suddenly denied the right to work in the country without explanation.
What do you think went wrong? Because everything was going fine, as you said, and suddenly things changed for the worse. And you do not have any forewarning, did you, about this?
No, at all. And actually, the MEA themselves were very shocked when it happened, because it's not their decision. The MEA told me, we don't understand why it's happening. What went wrong? I don't want to assume. I don't want to accuse. I cannot imagine what goes in the administration of the Home Affairs. The only thing that I can see is a trend of 1, 2, 3, now 5 journalists, foreign journalists, mostly from Western countries, being denied the right to work.
Right.
So the only thing that I can see is that it doesn't seem to be an isolated case. It's not me personally that seems to have. And again, nothing has come out about the reasons, nor off the record, on the record, in the press, nothing. So is there a reason? I don't know. At least on my case, I don't see any. But I see a trend of a general tendency of these governments to stop foreign journalists from working.
Right. In fact, there have been so many cases. I recall a very detailed article that came out in one of the online portals that operate out of India, that foreign correspondents especially have been threatened, intimidated. Their ability to work in India has been severely curtailed. Permissions don't come through. Even if they go to spots to report, they are stopped. They are not given access. And this has happened more prominently after 2019, after the government was elected for the second time, the Modi government.
Exactly.
It has happened consistently. So, but then in all those cases, and there have been American journalists, there are French journalists. You are the second French journalist now who has been denied the right to work. In all these cases, their home governments have not reacted. What has been your experience with your own government, the French government? Have they said anything? Are they intervening at all?
It's interesting because the Vanessa's case has been the landmark. Vanessa's been denied in September 22, so we have now a history of more than 18 months. She's been fighting her case, staying in the country. The embassy more or less was escalating this, and they did escalate till the highest level of national security. It didn't work. Actually, she didn't get any response, and she was even threatened with cancellation of OCI, and that's why she had to leave.
Oh, wow.
In my case, yes, they intervene also. They try to escalate it, but it seems, one, that it doesn't work. And that's very concerning because we're talking of a French government, which is considered one of the best ally of the Indian government, selling weapons together and having very strategic talks. It doesn't work. It seems on the other side that the Indian government is very adamant, is very clear on their position. They think that they can get away with it. And sadly, it seems that, yes, because of all the geopolitical position that India is towards China, the fact that these Western countries need India as a pillar in the region, they can get away with that. Now, how far can they get away? That's why we are changing it. That's why we are talking to the government. And it seems that many are waking up now, and we know that in Canada, that's actually blown up to another level.
Right.
The U.S. is also concerned. Australia has been concerned now because Avani Diaz, another Australian journalist from ABC, has been also pushed out. And now there is a talk in between all these capitals to how can we move. And I would like really to actually motivate and push these governments to wake up before India is gone too far, before we have a new China that, in a way, we cannot really control and curtail anymore. It's not that we need to control India. India is a free country, needs to, of course, do their own thing, and Modi is still popular, and fine. Now, the question is, do we have a partner in terms of democratic values? That's what we need to ask as a question. If we don't, then we need to talk in a different language. If we do, and we want to believe that India is still like a vibrant democracy in terms of freedom of expression, then we need to talk to them and say, hey, this is not what we think of freedom of expression. So it's just the question of how do we talk to India? What is the limit? How far can we go? And how many journalists can we expel from the country before we are really concerned?
Right. So obviously India is trying to flex its muscle, and because China is seen as this, huge power, which obviously India sees as its adversary, but it also admires, at least the current Indian government, admires the Chinese government stance, the way it manages to shut out dissenting voices, the way it manages to curtail the ability of foreign correspondents to accurately report out of the country. So India perhaps aspires for that, at least this government. I also noticed that when you put out the tweet, there were a lot of negative comments which came from the right-wing supporters of the current Indian government and the BJP. In fact, one comment was really interesting, which I saw, which has been subsequently deleted. It was posted by somebody based out of Sweden that, because the government did not really act against foreign correspondents, that's why it lost this election, in the sense that it lost its majority. It is high time that they go out all guns blazing against all these, troublemongers. Have you seen or have you experienced trolling, or have you received any kind of threat? Do you think these social media voices need to be taken seriously? Do they indicate a certain kind of mindset which also the current governing party in India has?
I think we give too much importance to Twitter trolls.
Okay.
And I think, but it is a voice, and definitely it's just overwhelming to read these messages. And the one you quote is almost very nice and sweet compared to the thousands that, of course, told me that I was a foreign agent and things. I mean, the foreign hand, the foreign agent, blaming the foreigners, blaming foreign media for losing or in a way, bad elections. It's very easy, but of course, I mean, it falls nowhere. I mean, how come, like an Indian voter deep in UP, in Ayodhya, would read the New York Times or the French radio, like me, imagine, and blame me for that? And so, of course, it goes nowhere. So that's where the microcosm of Twitter stops. And I think we need to understand that, the BJP has been very strong in using social media to amplify their voice. But at the end of the day, they had a reality check with this last elections. So, I mean, I wouldn't, and I just try to just swing by these comments because I knew it was coming. And actually, even in the right-wing press, there was nothing really incriminating against me. And so I take it more as a confirmation that there's nothing much, it seems, at least substantial against me. And that's more concerning, that whether it's really just arbitrary, this decision, to stop me from working. That's really sad. I mean, OCI is a bridge between the West and India. We try to, we are a bit Indian in a way, and we try to explain, which, by being a journalist there for a long time, you try to explain what is India to the rest of the world with all this complexity. And as a good friend, as a family member, you have to criticize also.
Right.
Now, if the government pushes us out, there's no one to do that explanation, to this complex explanation of this Indian society. And I think this is something that India also could lose in the long run to be understood.
Because in the case of Vanessa Duna, at least we know that even though the official statements were full of legalese, but there were comments that came out from unofficial quarters, like source-based reporting, which usually happens in the Indian press quite a lot, where it was said that, well, her reporting was anti-India, anti-Hindu, and so on and so forth. And these are very common labels that are very easily applied on dissenters or any kind of negative coverage. Have you also experienced, because I haven't seen in the press anything like that, but have you heard from people that, well, your reporting was anti-India or maybe anti-Hindu?
Oh, it's the first argument that they used. Again, criticizing the government becomes anti-India. We've heard that for the last 10 years.
Right.
I don't want to give that too much importance. I mean, I think India deserves better. It's the land of debate, the land of the argumentative India. We all know that criticizing a government doesn't mean that you're anti-India, even less anti-Hindu. I mean, why would that be anti-Hindu and not anti-Sikh or anti-whatever? I mean, there is much more than Hindu in India. I mean, of course, and to tell you how low it can go is, Op India, which is a famous right-wing portal,
That's right.
just accused me of creating division between Hindu and Muslim, because it just happened that while doing a story on economic inequality, I ended up interviewing a Muslim poor lady and a Hindu rich man. And so they say, you're creating divide. Okay, so that's just because the names were Hindu or Muslim. There was no religion in the matter. It just happened to be one Muslim and one Hindu. So you just find divide if you want to find it.
It is interesting that you mention Op India, because it also is part of that social media ecosystem that I was referring to. You said that, well, tweets should not be taken that seriously, but oftentimes we notice that some of these blue tick handles on Twitter and who make opinion in favor of the government, they are part of the feedback loop of the government. So what they tweet out, what they write in Op India and other right-wing portals, that is seen and very closely followed by those in power. So don't you think that it can be serious, and it is serious, and it should not really be dismissed offhand as, well, social media noise?
No, you have a good point. I mean, the ecosystem is created by the right wing using this Twitter accounts. I mean, I was talking before about the Twitter nobodies, the ones who just becomes the trolls and gives you thousands of bad comments. This is a noise that, in a way, doesn't represent much, or in a way, it's overvalued. Now, yes, Op India is another system. It's part of the system. It's definitely part of it. Actually, I read Op India more. I do read Op India because they ended up getting...
Doesn't your blood pressure shoot up?
Yeah. when you know who they are, again, you just take them a bit less seriously. But no, because they ended up talking to the government, and the government usually tries to get misinformation pushed through these platforms. In Vanessa's case, they tried to defame her using, different arguments that she was there, she did this. And in a way, you try to create a narrative. So yes, Op India and different platforms like them are used by the different parts of the government to create a new narrative. So of course, you need to see it in that way. And of course, they have to be taken a bit more seriously, because they become the noise. And after they become amplified through the Twitter sphere itself. So yes, they are influential in a way.
It was hoped, and you also indicated that with the government, or at least the party, losing its majority, there would be some climb down on this kind of action against dissenters. But then it seems that they are doubling down on it. What do you think is the way forward now, for you especially?
I have to just say that the ban happened to me before the elections in March.
Okay.
Now I've decided myself to work on the thing, and for 3 months try to fight it, and then I ended up leaving after the election. So we have to see this decision as a prior, Modi 2. Now, whether that would change or not, I was really looking at who was going to head the Ministry of Home Affairs. And sadly, in a way, it's still the same team with Amit Shah at the top. And we know that he's been known as a very strict authoritarian person against media in general or any dissenter. So I don't see, sadly, a very drastic change in that sector for now, because Amit Shah is a state within the state. Right. He has created a whole environment of fear and sanction repression that he seems to control himself and to be quite untouched by whoever he is. Because Vanessa's case, imagine, Vanessa's case blew up in the surface she received this show cause notice to be expelled 10 days before the visit of the Republic Day of the President of France.
Right.
So what I mean by that is that the MHA in that case sent a letter that created a huge diplomatic uproar. So they were isolated from the consequences. They were unworried about the fact that sending that letter at that moment would create a huge political issue. So what I mean is that they seem to get away with anything they can do, and whatever the consequences are diplomatically. So yes, there is a state within the state through the MHA, and so far it seems to stay. And then we'll see what the coalition has to say, but I don't think that the coalition partners are so interested or making such a point with human rights in general or dissent in particular. So we'll get to see. We'll get to see when the parliament just opened today, and that's a new game to play now.
We hope you will not be silenced by this, and we hope that you are able to return to India sooner than later. Sébastien, thank you so much for giving us your time. It was lovely speaking with you.
Thank you very much for your time. Very interesting conversation also.
Thank you very much. Really enjoyed it. Have a good night.
You too.
तो दोस्तों, ये थे सेबेस्टियन फ्रांसिस, जो कि फ्रांसीसी जर्नलिस्ट हैं. आप हिंदुस्तान में थे, साउथ एशिया कॉरेस्पॉन्डेंट थे आप. रेडियो फ्रांस इंटरनेशनल और लिबरेशन, ये 3 नेटवर्क्स के लिए आपने काम किया. फ्रांस और बेल्जियम की ये 3 नेटवर्क्स हैं, इनके लिए आपने काम किया, और 13 सालों से आप हिंदुस्तान में थे. और यकाएक आपको बेवतन कर दिया गया है, कहा जाए तो, कि मतलब हिंदुस्तान से आपको बाहर कर दिया गया है. इनका वर्क परमिट था. ये OCI कार्ड होल्डर हैं, ओवरसीज सिटीजन ऑफ इंडिया हैं, क्योंकि इनकी शादी एक हिंदुस्तानी सिटीजन से हुई है. और पूरा जहां इन्होंने दिल्ली में बसाया हुआ था, लेकिन 7 मार्च को इनका एकदम से परमिट रिन्यू नहीं हुआ, जो जर्नलिस्ट के लिए एक होता है वर्क परमिट. अगर आप OCI सिटीजन होल्डर भी हैं, जैसे कि उन्होंने बताया 2022 के बाद से जो है ये OCI कार्ड होल्डर्स को भी ये लाइसेंस लेना पड़ गया है, तो ये परमिट लेना पड़ गया है. तो फिर इनका परमिट जो है रिन्यू नहीं किया गवर्नमेंट ने, और उसके बाद जो है 3 महीने तक ये अनएम्प्लॉयड रहे. दिल्ली में या कहीं पे भी 3 महीने बगैर सैलरी के रहना आसान नहीं होता है. तो इसलिए फिर आखिरकार 17 तारीख को इन्होंने और इनकी बेगम ने ये फ़ैसला लिया कि वो अब फ्रांस वापस चले जाएंगे, जब तक कि हालात में सुधार ना आ जाए और इस केस में कोई डेवलपमेंट ना हो. बहुत अच्छी बात रही हमारी उनके साथ. आई एम श्योर आप लोगों को भी बहुत अच्छा लगा होगा, और हम उनको जो है ऑल द बेस्ट कहना चाहेंगे कि इनके केस में जो है कोई एक बेटर आउटकम इसका निकले.